Thank you, Jesse. The three of us met Dhruv in business school, and we all quickly became great friends, despite Dhruv being a foot shorter than all of us. We're honored to be up here tonight to talk to you about our tiny friend, our boy, Dhruvi. It's hard to capture the enigma that is Dhruv Amin, but we're going to do our best to give you a tour of a man who is unapologetically himself, always down for an adventure, and who has a profound love for his friends. I first got to experience this love Dhruv has for his friends on a school trip to Sri Lanka. During this trip, we were introduced to a game called Fuzzy Cheesecake. The game is simple. The group selects one person, and then everyone goes around saying something nice about them. As a German, I have to say this was quite a foreign concept to me. My people are not known for saying nice things to each other. Instead, we have a word that describes the joy one feels at the misfortune of others. Schadenfreude. So Fuzzy Cheesecake took some getting used to for me. Dhruv, on the other hand, was a natural at the game. Here was a man in touch with his emotions and able to articulate them beautifully. Dhruv's love for his friends is most apparent when he introduces them to each other. On his recent bachelor trip to Tulum, when we sat down for dinner the first night, Dhruv got up and went around the table and introduced each of the 14 attendees with a speech. For each person, he told us what he admired about them and how much their friendship meant to him. It was beautiful. When it was my turn, he told everyone that though I appear to be a cold-faced German, I'm really just a giant teddy bear on the inside, a big old softie, which of course is true. Over the course of the evening, we had a few stragglers who joined us late. And every time a new person joined, Dhruv insisted on doing all 14 speeches again. So we got to hear 70 speeches that night. And every time, I had to hear him call me a cold-faced German who is a big teddy bear on the inside. I've learned a lot from Dhruv over the years, but perhaps the most important is to make Fuzzy Cheesecake part of my life and to tell my friends how much I love them.
So when I met Dhruv, I also hadn't yet heard of this so-called fuzzy cheesecake. First of all, who the hell wants fuzz on their cheesecake? To me, it just sounded like a rotten and gross dessert. But little did I know that within a week of meeting each other, we'd be engaged in our very own one-on-one fuzzy cheesecake. Our bromance started on a trip to New Zealand when Dhruv introduced me to the role-playing game, or rather, the religion that is Avalon. Without boring you with all the details, I'll just say that Avalon is a game of good versus evil, truth versus lies, and Hansei versus Dhruv. Although our friendship started with a game where we just lied to each other, the truth was that with each lie, our bond deepened. After a week of nonstop Avalon annoying everyone around us, we found ourselves on a boat in Milford Sound, this majestic mountain lake in New Zealand, surrounded by Greek peaks with a light drizzle from the waterfalls that created this ethereal haze. We step out onto the deck, and I start to reflect on our past week together. A week of Avalon, of discussing music festivals we wanted to experience together, of going deep on economic policy and wealth inequality, on foreign trade and globalization, on theories of consciousness and existence. And I found myself overwhelmed and enraptured by our budding bromance, only amplified by the majesty of our surroundings. And so much so that I just blurred out, "I love you, man." Shit. It's only been a week. Did I say it too soon? But before I could second guess myself any longer, with his eyes locked on mine, never breaking his gaze, he yelled out, "I love you too, man." It honestly felt like the scene out of the Titanic where I'm Kate and he's Leo, and we're at the edge of the boat, my arms spread wide, and Dhruv holding me, supporting me, giving me the courage to love and be vulnerable and take anything on together. It was beautiful. Of course, each of us has a story like this with Dhruv, where we recognize and appreciate how amazing and unique of an individual Dhruv is, and where he openly expresses his love for us in return. And now, 5 years later, years filled with countless more deep discussions and intellectual examinations, music festivals and intimate dinners, and nights of chasing our elusive dragon, I can confidently say that Dhruv is a brother for life, and that, yes, I do prefer some fuzz on my cheesecake.
Now, Dhruv doesn't just show his love for his friends through his words. He's also a man of action. He's a yes man. He's the man in my life that I call first when I've got some crazy idea, because I know that he will be there to support it no matter what it is. I invited Dhruv one summer to Jackson Hole to come and see the mountains and to hopefully find a grizzly bear. So we're sitting around the campfire one night, sipping on some spicy margaritas, reflecting on this amazing day that we've just had, searching for hot springs at the base of waterfalls and going to the Jackson Hole Rodeo. And then suddenly, it strikes me that I hadn't yet delivered on my promise to find Dhruv a grizzly bear. It's 10 p.m. We're 5 spicy margaritas deep. And I say to Dhruv, it's time to go bear hunting. Now that I think about it after reflection, bear hunting is an objectively bad idea. A group of inebriated men walking into the forest in the middle of the night with a light rain to actively seek out nature's most ferocious predator. But Dhruv just looks at me and says, "Hell yeah, I'm in." So I've got my hiking shoes on, I got my raincoat on, extra layer to be prepared for the occasion. And Dhruv has his trusty Air Dhruvs, his jeans on, and a leather jacket. He's dressed for the occasion. So we set up the mountain. It's pitch black. And just so that there is no chance that the bear sees us coming, I tell Dhruv to turn off his flashlight and instead be guided through the forest by his intuition, to trust that his body knows the way. So we get to the first turn in the trail. Dhruv's shoes slip out, boom, hits the deck. He scrambles back up. He's covered in mud. We get to the next switch back. Leg kicks out, boom. Dhruv's on the ground again. And he's just wobbling through the darkness, trying to find his way, just yelling out, "Trust! Trust! Trust!" And he gets to the next switchback, leg kicks out, and boom, he's on the ground again. Now, we never did find the bear that night, but Dhruv received an absolute battering. We get back hours later. Dhruv steps into the light. He's looking like a ragged sewer rat with a big grin pinned back to his ears, which I think captures Dhruv. A man who shows unconditional support for his friends, even if it means risking his life in search of the grizzly bear.
Dhruv's commitment to his friends is only surpassed by his commitment to the dance floor. I still remember the first time I saw Dhruv dance. It was on that same Sri Lanka trip at an all-white New Year's Eve party on the beach. Everyone was wearing white and flip-flops in the sand, except for Dhruv, who of course was wearing his black Air Druvs. And as you will see this weekend, Dhruv's dancing style is, well, unconventional. He takes long strides up and down the dance floor. His arms move robotically in 90-degree angles. And he has an intense, focused look in his eyes. If you've ever seen Dhruv at work, you know this look. It's the look of someone who's ready to change lives, change organizations, and change the dance floor. Dhruv commits to the dance floor the same way he commits to everything in life, wholeheartedly and unafraid to be himself.
Now, while Dhruv has his classic dance moves, he's always up for learning something new. But for Dhruv, learning is no casual affair. His approach is scientific, methodical, clinical. And nowhere was this more evident than when Dhruv spent time mastering the art of the twerk. Blogs, YouTube tutorials, real-life demonstrations on Miami yachts. Dhruv consumed it all. And he methodically broke it down and mastered it. And at Jesse's bachelor party in Tulum, we were fortunate enough to witness the final product. The fruits of all his labor. So we're at this bougie club, dancing around the main table in the middle of this outdoor amphitheater on the beach, when suddenly something comes over Dhruv. He sees that now is his moment. His chance to show his friends all that he's learned. And so, being shamelessly and unapologetically Dhruv, he climbs up onto the table, gets down on all fours, and starts twerking. And as he does so, he's repeating to himself his favorite tutorial from some Miami YouTuber: cat, cow, 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 cat, cow. Twerking is just one example of Dhruv's clinical nature. Another is how he chooses to dress himself, as we've heard. Classic and functional blue jeans? Check. Multi-purpose loafers? Check. Monocolored t-shirt? Check. Need to dress it up? Throw in a leather jacket. Need to go bear hunting? Throw in a leather jacket. Oh wait, now it's my wedding? Let's buy some new Air Druvs, but just in brown. He had these last night. He's got a black pair and a brown pair. That's it. That's it. And Dhruv, screw all the haters. Saloni and I agree, you look fucking hot in your outfit. Now, behind Dhruv's life-hacking skills and clinical nature is a real desire to learn and be the best version of himself for his friends and ultimately for Saloni. And before he met Saloni, he fully leaned into methodically breaking down the art of human dialogue and dating. For months, Dhruv would force himself to walk up to random people and engage in conversation, dissecting the most efficient path to true human connection. First, identify shared interest. Now, I'll share something personal about myself. Oh, it's time for a joke. Insert humor here. Rumor has it that after one date, Dhruv even sent someone a customer satisfaction survey. Rate your experience with me on a scale of 1 to 10. How likely would you be to recommend dating Dhruv to a friend? We always thought Dhruv is never going to find a partner this way. Luckily for him, though, he did find someone, and not just anyone, but Saloni. Yep, give it up. We're as shocked as you are. All of the brutal trial and error seemed to have actually worked. Now he just thought, Dhruv better close the deal fast before she realizes he only has one pair of shoes and one outfit. However clinical he was in wooing Saloni. Is that going? Yeah. Hello. However clinical he was in wooing Saloni, it was clear Dhruv just loved her. And his heart felt something that his head had no control over.
Saloni, we have loved having you enter our lives. We could ask for nothing more than for our brother Dhruv to meet, fall in love with, and marry a woman like you. You're a special person and a special match for our Dhruv. Someone who adores and admires him, but also laughs at him and calls him out and helps him upgrade his style and his dance moves. Just kidding, Dhruv, we love him. Like Dhruv, you have a love and appreciation for the unique gifts of other people. It shows up in the work that you've committed to, supporting young individuals trying to find their way in the world, and how you interact with each of us and your friends. You're charming, warm, and you celebrate the things that matter: relationships, community, and joy in the small moments. Dhruv, Saloni, you're both very special to us, both as individuals and as a couple. Together you radiate love and affection for your tribe, most of whom are here tonight, and we feel very honored to be a part of it. Thank you.